A boost for businesses to build out California's circular economy, the changes coming to the RMDZ loan program, and turning pollution into California-made products.
One of the great things about glass is it's 100% infinitely recyclable.
Industries plan for 1 billion more bottles when wine and spirits join the CRB program in 2024. Plus, CalRecycle field teams start their work as California demands truth in labeling for recycling claims. CalRecycle's monthly public meeting starts now.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for CalRecycle's August 2023 public meeting. This meeting is for Californians by Californians as we work together to protect our communities and fight climate change. Due to technical difficulties, closed captioning will not be available during today's live webcast. The captions will be available on the recording of this August public meeting, and it will be available on our YouTube channel as soon as possible after the meeting. So here's a quick reminder before we dive in.
El idioma no debe ser una barrera cuando se trata de proteger nuestro aire, nuestra agua y tierra. CalRecycle está transmitiendo simultáneamente esta junta pública en español e inglés. Puede encontrar el enlace en línea en español e inglés en la parte superior de nuestra página web calrecycle.ca.gov. Language shouldn't be a barrier when it comes to protecting our air, water, and land. CalRecycle is simulcasting this meeting in English and Spanish. Click the public meeting banner at the top of calrecycle.ca.gov for a link to our webcasts in both English and Spanish.
Our first agenda item today is the Director's Report. Director Rachel Mackey-Wagner joins us now for some important updates. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, and thank you all for joining us remotely and in person. It's wonderful to be here now in the middle of August. We are very excited to be kicking off, not quite the fall. For some of us who have kids, it feels like the fall because they're heading back to school, but it is wonderful to be kicking off the fall with you, and so much happening at CalRecycle over the next couple of months, from regulatory development to grant and loan programs, and as many of us know, finishing up the legislative work of the year. So very happy to be with all of you today. I have a couple of quick announcements on actions being taken by the department right now. SB 1383, our organics recycling program, as many of you who know who participate in this program, has a provision within the regulations under Article 2 that allows for technologies that recycle organic waste to come to the department and apply to the department as a form of SB 1383 compliant recycling for organic waste. We have received an application from a company by the name of H-Cycle under the Article 2 provisions. That article requires that the department initially make a determination as to whether or not the application that has been submitted is complete, and then upon determination of completeness, then review the application to determine whether or not the technology meets the greenhouse gas reduction requirements pursuant to SB 1383 statute and regulation. So pursuant to the first component of that, our directive is very clear in the regulations. Did they submit a complete application? CalRecycle and the California Air Resources Board have reviewed the application and have made the determination that that application is complete, and will be notifying the company today that that is the case. And there will be a 30-day comment period on that application that will start maybe not immediately. We need, in order to post the application, we need to ensure that it is posted in a way that is ADA compliant, and we are working towards doing that. So upon posting, there will be a 30-day comment period as we are simultaneously reviewing that application. So if you are interested in reviewing that, please look to the website and reach out to staff if needed. Secondly, I wanted to mention the implementation of SB 54, the California Plastics and Packaging Act. We are well on our way. For those of you who are participating in that process, as you know, we have conducted so far, I believe it's 5 workshops. The last workshops were very, very robust, and we are now working very diligently. The staff at CalRecycle are working very diligently on the initial regulation development and are working on that language. We're very excited to workshop the language, but as of right now, we've received a very large volume of initial comments and feedback that we want to make sure is integrated and responded to as part of our regulation development. So we will be working to release a draft of regulatory language and hold additional workshops this fall before starting the formal rulemaking at the beginning of 2024. And with that, I just again want to thank everyone for being with us today and turn it back over to Maria.
We have an SB 1383 Organics Recycling and Diversion calendar reminder. The department's next SB 1383 Chat with CalRecycle is on Wednesday, August 23rd from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. You can register online to participate. Up next on the agenda, CalRecycle recently launched its material characterization study for SB 343, the Truth in Labeling Law. Deputy Director Zoe Heller is here with more details.
SB 343 requires CalRecycle to collect and publish data about the types of materials actually recycled here in California. This study will gather data from 50 material recovery facilities and transfer stations across the state, with sampling and sorting of materials happening at almost half of those facilities. Big thank you to the facilities participating in this important research. CalRecycle will publish its preliminary findings by January 1, 2024, following another study in 2027. CalRecycle must conduct additional SB 343 studies every 5 years. Please sign up for our SB 343 listserv for additional updates.
California is strengthening its beverage container recycling program, which has recycled nearly 500 billion bottles and cans to date. In less than 6 months, consumers will be able to cash in wine and liquor bottles for CRV. Let's watch a short video on what this means for consumers and businesses as California advances its circular economy for beverage containers.
Things that pair well with wine: cheese, chocolate, meat. Recycling? Starting in 2024, you can cut your trash and climate pollution footprint by redeeming your empty wine and liquor bottles at a recycling center.
One of the great things about glass is it's 100% infinitely recyclable.
On top of providing a 5, 10, or 25-cent CRV deposit refund on the empty wine and spirit containers, the change will help California winemakers turn more old wine bottles into new wine bottles.
We want to recycle as much of our material as we can back into wine bottles.
California's beverage container recycling program kept nearly 500 billion bottles and cans off our streets and out of our landfills by turning empty containers into new products. By adding wine and spirits to the CRV redemption program, we anticipate that we'll bring in 1 billion bottles into the recycling program. Recycled glass that California manufacturers desperately need to make new bottles with less waste and pollution.
Of that, about 35% of the incoming material is recycled glass, and we'd like to increase that to 75%.
CRV bottles and cans from recycling centers are among the cleanest recyclables collected in California.
Anytime we can get it clean, we get a higher amount of it back out of the systems.
Helping meet California winemakers' demand for glass with in-state remanufacturing.
So what we see behind us right here is some redemption glass that's come in from the bottle bill suppliers. We take glass from here, we turn it into furnace-ready cullet that goes into our manufacturing process. We make bottles and then we send it over to the winery for filling. So it is the perfect example of a circular economy.
California material collected, recycled, and remanufactured right here in California, turning pollution into new products and helping California transform the world's 5th largest economy from a polluting throwaway society into a global model for a no-waste life.
Be sure to sign up for our beverage container recycling program listserv emails for the latest SB 1013 announcements and engagement opportunities. Now, Division of Circular Economy Deputy Director Zoe Heller has information on an upcoming workshop.
Senate Bill 1013 includes various reforms to the beverage container recycling program to provide more redemption opportunities for consumers and more recycled content for manufacturers. Starting in 2025, larger CRV beverage retailers in areas without a certified recycling center must either redeem in store or operate a dealer cooperative. Our next dealer cooperative workshop on August 31st will focus on draft regulatory language, processes for dealer registration, and the application, registration, and operation of dealer cooperatives. We invite interested parties and the public to participate and provide feedback. You can register online for the virtual workshop. You can also click on today's agenda for the Beverage Container Recycling Program's latest registration and enforcement quarterly reports. Next on the agenda, Californians have more options for safe medication and home-generated sharps waste disposal at no cost. Check out how extended producer responsibility programs are making it possible.
It's now easier than ever for Californians to prevent unwanted or unused medication from getting into the wrong hands. Just drop meds off in a collection bin or mail them back.
You can also prevent accidental needle stick injuries by using free mail-back programs.
CalRecycle approved California's first ever statewide industry-run programs dedicated to safe medication and sharps waste disposal. It's easy and convenient. Just look for medication drop boxes at participating pharmacies, hospitals, sheriff's stations, and other locations. You can also receive free mail-back materials when you buy new needles. Scan this QR code now for more information.
Today, we have 3 items related to the Pharmaceutical and Sharps Waste Stewardship Program for the Director's consideration. 1 annual report from 2022 and 2 annual program budgets for 2024. These documents were submitted by the Drug Take-Back Solutions Foundation on March 31st, 2023, but were initially found incomplete. The foundation resubmitted complete documents for CalRecycle staff submitted complete documents, and CalRecycle staff reviewed the documents for compliance with statute, regulations, and the program operator's respected approved plans. I will provide a brief summary of staff findings. The full summary of staff's analysis is contained in the public notices linked in today's meeting agenda. The Foundation's 2022 annual report for covered drugs describes educating potential authorized collectors and covered entities about program and efforts to expand the geographic spread of collection receptacles. The Foundation reported it established 409 authorized collection sites and 606 mail-back distribution locations and collected over 50,000 pounds of covered drugs. Based on staff's analysis of the information provided in the Foundation's 2022 annual report, the Foundation did not meet or partially met a number of requirements from statute, regulations, and its approved plan. The Foundation did not meet the convenience standards. There are 7 counties where the Foundation reported it did not establish any authorized collection sites or mail-back distribution locations. Education and outreach materials in the Foundation's annual report promote local take-back events, which is not something that was approved as a part of the Foundation's initial plan, and therefore inconsistent with services offered by the program. The Foundation also appears to be using 2 different websites, a Drug Take-Back Solutions Foundation website that links off of an Inmar-run website, making it unclear to the public where to go to request information and program services. Instances of requirements partially met include that the Foundation's annual report did not provide a description of the circumstances beyond its control, necessitating the establishment of mail-back distribution locations in counties where the minimum number of authorized collection sites had not been established. The Foundation's annual report did not include information regarding reasonable geographic spread, and the Foundation did not include some required metrics, and other metrics are unclear, such as the amount of mail-back materials that were distributed and returned. Should the Director choose to conditionally approve or disapprove the Foundation's 2022 annual report for covered drugs, the Foundation must provide additional information to meet these requirements. Additionally, based on information contained in the Foundation's independent financial audit that was submitted with both 2024 annual program budgets, the Foundation's budgets appear to meet requirements in statute, regulations, and approved plan. However, as noticed in the request for action, CalRecycle may conduct its own audit of the foundation stewardship programs to ensure the foundation is operating both its drugs and Sharps program in a prudent and responsible manner as required by statute. Again, you can read staff analysis on all of the items in the public notices linked in today's agenda, and please subscribe to CalRecycle's pharmaceutical and Sharps listserv to receive additional updates. Action must be taken on these items by August 29th.
A quick reminder, you can submit your public comments on any of today's agenda items. Here's how.
California wants your input on recycling and trash pollution issues. Join CalRecycle's decision-making process by submitting a public comment on any of today's agenda items. Microphones are available for those of you in the room. If you're joining remotely, just click the public meeting banner at the top of our website, then click the public meeting portal to send us your feedback. We'll address public comments at the end of the meeting.
Next is the Biomass Conversion Facility Annual Report. Deputy Director Zoe Heller has 2022 Biomass Conversion Facility findings.
Biomass conversion facilities turn materials like wood waste and nutshells into electricity. SB 498 requires annual reporting on the amounts, types, and sources of biomass conversion in California. California has 24 active biomass conversion facilities. Back in the 1980s, there were more than 50 in the state. The decline is due in part to cheaper sources of energy like natural gas and solar. The cheap cost of landfilling is an alternative to biomass, and fluctuations in subsidies to these facilities. For 2022, facilities reported on material accepted from 4 source categories. Nearly 900,000 tons came from ag, a bit less from in-forestry, more than 1 million tons came from mill residue, and over 895,000 tons from urban sources. Since last year, tonnage decreased from mill and agricultural sources, while we saw tonnages increase from in-forestry and urban sources. You can take a look at this chart to see how these tonnages have fluctuated over the past 7 years. We see in-forestry trending staying relatively flat with a slight upward trend. All other sources trend down or remain about the same over the past few years. You can take a closer look at this data in the public notice for today's meeting. You can also email questions to biomassreporting@calrecycle.ca.gov. Okay, moving on to grants and loans. CalRecycle is awarding $1.4 million to 59 local enforcement agencies to help carry out local solid waste facility permit and inspection programs. CalRecycle Certified Local Enforcement Agencies Act CalRecycle Certified Local Enforcement Agencies act on the state's behalf to enforce solid waste handling and disposal laws. Each applicant will receive a base grant of $15,000 plus an additional amount based on the population and number of facilities. 2 applicants, San Diego and Imperial counties, provide services in the border region. As a reminder, applications for 3 of our grant programs are due this week. For updates, subscribe to CalRecycle's events calendar. Also today, CalRecycle is revising eligibility criteria for our Recycling Development Zone Loan Program, or RMDZ loan program, to get more circular economy investments into our communities here in California. With these changes, loans will be prioritized for new projects that fill gaps in California's circular economy. This includes innovation reduction, reuse, recycling, or remanufacturing of materials that otherwise could have entered the waste stream. Also, creating jobs and benefits to our communities and our environment. Some of the gaps will be identified in CalRecycle's Zero Waste Plan, the SB 54 Needs Assessment, SB 1383 Capacity Plans, 5-year tire plan, and other resources published by CalRecycle that we generally announce at our public meetings. Loan amounts will be determined through staff analysis and the applicant's need, financial capacity, and cash flow ability to repay. Back to you, Maria.
Thanks, Zoe. Disaster Debris Removal Operations Deputy Director Heather Geldert is here with some updates. Good morning, Heather.
Good morning, Maria. Thank you. We are fortunate that this fire season hasn't resulted in significant property loss within the state of California, but CalRecycle and our partners at CalOES have not been taking a break. We are very aware that California's fire season is no longer a season, it's year-round. Our disaster debris team has been working with our partners in contracting and the CalRecycle legal department and CalOES to continue to improve the time it takes to get contracted debris removal teams in the field. Last year, CalRecycle announced a process to pre-qualify debris removal contractors. And as of right now, we have about 30 contracting firms ready to bid on disaster debris and hazardous tree removal contracts. Additionally, a master services agreement was put into effect that has environmental assessment crews at the ready to enter the field prior to debris removal. This month, we entered into an e-procurement process that will make the bidding process even more efficient for contracting. The process will allow pre-qualified contractors to upload bids instead of delivering them to Sacramento, identify any gaps in the bid applications immediately, reducing disqualifications due to paperwork errors, expedite staff review of submitted bids, and facilitate notices to proceed. As always, the state's goal is to put qualified contractors into the field for debris removal quickly to minimize environmental and public health threats and begin the rebuilding process for wildfire survivors.
Up next on the agenda, CalRecycle is required to review and either approve or disapprove each countywide or regional agency integrated waste management plan 5-year review report. Materials Management and Local Assistance Deputy Kara Morgan joins us now via Zoom.
Thank you, Maria. Mariposa County submitted a 5-year review report for their countywide integrated waste management plan, concluding there were no revisions needed. I have approved this item. Back to you, Maria.
Thanks, Kara. Moving on now to our pending solid waste and tire facilities permits. Check out this quick video to see how California facility standards help keep our communities safe.
Protecting the health of Californians and their land, food, water, and air is a big job. Local, state, and federal agencies play different roles to enforce public health and environmental safety standards. In California, solid waste local enforcement agencies process applications, issue, and enforce permits for solid waste facilities. These include landfills, transfer stations, compost facilities, or similar operations. CalRecycle must verify permits are consistent with state requirements. Permits can only address areas within the authority of local enforcement agencies and CalRecycle. Check out the link below for more detailed information. Emergency waivers allow temporary changes to solid waste permit requirements in response to local or state disasters. Local enforcement agencies may approve the waivers, which are good for up to 120 days and may be extended. CalRecycle must review approved waivers and can condition, limit, suspend, or terminate them. Check out the link for more detailed information. For waste tire facilities, CalRecycle processes applications, issues, and enforces waste tire permits. These include requirements to make sure tires are stored and processed in a way that reduces potential threats from fire and disease-carrying vectors like mosquitoes. Check out the link for more detailed information.
Paulina Lawrence joins us now with a statewide update on facility permits.
Thank you, Maria. Since last month, the department is announcing today the continuing review of 3 solid waste facilities permits, along with two solid waste facilities permits that are new to today's agenda. The department has received no new emergency waivers since last month. So at this point, I will go over the continuing agenda items from last month. Aerojet Waste Consolidation Unit. This facility is located in Sacramento County. It's a new solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed August 31st, 2023. Also continuing on the agenda is the City of Reading Transfer Station, Materials Recovery and Composting Facility. This is in Shasta County. It's a revised solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed August 26th, 2023. Lastly, continuing on the agenda is Paris Transfer Station and Material Recovery Facility in Riverside County. This is a modified solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed September 10th, 2023. The 2 new solid waste facility permit actions are Valencia Greenery, which is in Orange County. It's a new compostable materials handling facility permit. Actions needed September 22nd, 2023. Preliminary review of the permit package indicates the following proposed design parameters. The proposed facility will be a compostable materials handling facility. Permitted hours of operations for receipt of feedstock is Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And for ancillary operations and facility operating hours, it will be 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The permitted maximum tonnage is 228 tons per day. The total permitted area is 14.1 acres with a composting permitted area of 9.9 acres and a design capacity of 40,413 cubic yards. Next is Global Material Recovery Services. This is in Sonoma County. It's a modified solid waste facilities permit. Action is needed September 25th, 2023. Preliminary review of the permit package indicates the following proposed changes. Removal of the maximum daily tonnage limits for specific waste types with no change to the permitted tonnage, maximum daily tonnage limit of 543.5 tons per day, and then there'll be updates to the transfer processing report. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Paulina. You can find more information on any of today's agenda items. Just go to CalRecycle's homepage and click on the public meeting web banner at the top of our site for a link to the agenda and associated public notices. Now it's time for public comments. First, we'll take comments from the public who are present in the Sacramento Cal EPA headquarters meeting room today. If you have any comments, you can come up to one of the two microphones that we have on either aisle.
Good morning, Julia Levin with the Bioenergy Association of California. It must be August. It is so quiet here today, or people are afraid of the heat. I wanted to thank CalRecycle for two things. The first is approval of the H-cycle application or deeming that is complete. This, along with other projects, are hugely important to meet the state's short-lived climate pollutant requirements and to produce renewable and low carbon or even carbon negative hydrogen. So thank you for moving forward on that. I also want to thank you, Director Wagner, for pushing back on the recommendation from the Little Hoover Commission and rejecting the idea of a pause in SB 1383 implementation. I hope you could hear somehow that there were a whole lot of us cheering you on when you did that. And I think it was a really important statement that you made about the importance of addressing short-lived climate pollutants. And that brings me to our two requests from the Bioenergy Association of California, and they are very much related to SB 1383. It's exciting to see all the new kinds of projects that are moving forward, but I think the time is coming or already here when CalRecycle really needs to reopen the regulations and add additional pathways. And the two that I think are needed yesterday are a designated pathway for diverted organic waste to hydrogen, so that additional projects don't have to go through Article 2. And the second one would be diverted organic waste to pipeline injection projects. The SB 1440 program that the Public Utilities Commission has adopted does encourage a lot of diverted organic waste to pipeline injection, but pipeline injection, which is pipeline injected biogas that's purchased by the gas utilities, goes to residential and small business customers, and there is no clear pathway under 1383 for that end use. So thank you again for pushing back on the pause, but now we need to really accelerate, and that includes new pathways for diverted organic waste. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Levin. Always appreciate your engagement. Appreciate having you here today.
Are there any other comments in the meeting room today?
Oh, excuse me. Good morning. Jeff Donlevy from Ming's Resources East Bay, part of Ming's Recycling Sacramento. Director Wagner, thank you for hosting this again. I'd like to congratulate the department and enforcement on the $7.6 million fraud ring that was busted down in Southern California. Sent out letters congratulating you. I was very happy to see that we got some bad actors out of the program. But later that afternoon, I saw the photo of the $1 million that was on somebody's kitchen table, one of these recycling centers, I guess had $1 million in their house. Pretty frustrating to see that. I encourage you to use the tools that you have available to you to stop the fraud that's going on down in Southern California and throughout the state. So please continue the good work. Hopefully you can get it done quicker. to clear the bad actors out of the system. Part of this, one of the tools that I would suggest I've asked for is looking at the 100-pound load limit for recycling centers. It's a problem for the mainly honest recyclers. They have to turn away business, but there's others that will do some things that are not valid. I think the regulations could be changed to allow over 100 pounds going into facilities if the operators can verify that they're a local business or organization, and then have some reporting requirements back to CalRecycle that would give you the indication that a site might be involved in some nefarious activity. So I'd ask that the regulations on the 100-pound load limits be looked at again to help you. And then at last meeting, Director Wagner, I think you said it 5, 6, 7, 8 times, talking about transitioning to a new system. Wondering if you could expand on that, what you see the system going into, how soon you see these new systems being deployed.
I think the question, Mr. Dunleavy, is in response to the comments that I made about the dealer cooperatives and how they're going to help facilitate and foster change within the beverage container recycling system. And pursuant to SB 1013, which created the dealer cooperatives, there are several dates listed in the legislation that we are working very hard to roll out this program. The first of which obviously is bringing in wine and distilled spirits into the program, starting January 1, and then having very quickly rolling through into our dealer cooperatives. And as many of you who participate in the beverage container recycling program know, we had a dealer workshop specifically for dealers in, so that's retailers who sell beverage containers and beverages in beverage containers, clearly. On August 10th, and we will have another one on August 31st to go over specific regulatory language. So we are working very hard to ensure that we are building a system that works for all of the interested parties who will be participating in it, and to do it consistent with the statutory deadlines that have been provided for us. So over the next year, we'll be rolling that out. And looking forward to engaging with all of the participants in our program on that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because I'm always looking to create new redemption locations so consumers can get their deposits back. The low-hanging fruit on the circular economy for California is the material that we've lost in the bottle bill. In 2022, 2.8 billion aluminum containers were lost in the program, 4.1 billion PET bottles were lost, over 400 million glass containers were lost from the program. That is truly the low-hanging fruit. As we head into 2024 and 2025 with the dealer takebacks, one of the things that I would ask is let's start promoting the in-store take-back locations. Right now we have 1,261 recycling centers. But the CalRecycle website, and it's kind of difficult to find, it's showing that we have 4,842 in-store locations. So we have just over 6,100 locations that people can take their containers back and get their deposits back. So hopefully we can look at the website, and right now you enter your zip code and it shows the recycling centers, but it's kind of difficult to find the in-store because it's a hyperlink. And unless somebody's reading it, tough to find. But in-store locations, surprisingly, there's more convenience than I think we all know about. I wish there was a way I could show these. I'll just read a couple of them. Like the city of Berkeley has 24 locations. Fresno has 131 in-store locations. Pasadena, 73 locations. San Luis Obispo doesn't have a recycling center, but there's 31 in-store locations. In the county of San Luis Obispo, there's 127 in-store locations. Up in Eureka, Humboldt County, there's 29 in-store locations. So if we could start promoting those, let consumers know they can go back into the store, that starts creating the pathway for consumers to look for that convenience at the stores. And then it's setting up the path for the co-ops to come in and play in 25 or as soon as we can get the infrastructure developed for that. Same thing with the stores. There's a lot of stores out there that are doing it. And again, it's kind of tough to find. So maybe look at the links and just have one link to show consumers where they can go back. But again, 4,800 stores will take it back. There's 63 Walmarts, 132 Walgreens, 109 Safeways, 160 Rite Aids, 367 7-Eleven stores, 160 AM/PM stores, 260 CVS stores. So there's a lot more convenience than I think the consumers know. So as we head into 2024, maybe we start promoting that to get the ball rolling and get those containers coming back into the stores and then back into the circular economy. At last week's meeting, the co-op meeting, there was 2 dates that were posted. One was for September for innovation grants for RVMs and bag drops. And then in the winter of 23-24, startup loans for processors and recyclers. Is that money coming from the 73 million available in the budget?
There was more than 73 million available
Oh, good.
in the budget, and we're having workshops across the PMDP program. We're having workshops on the grants that are going out from the 73 million. There are pieces of it coming from different programs. So I think what the September, you mentioned a September date and a January date?
Correct. A September innovation grants for RVMs and bag drop, and then winter of 23-24 startup loans for processors and recyclers.
Yes, so that would be out of the 70, it's I think 140 plus from that was appropriated last year, yes.
Wow, gets even better. That's wonderful. Excuse my professionalism, but I'm going to call bullshit on that. I'm sorry, but
could you please watch your language? This is a public.
I understand.
That wasn't appropriate.
Okay. Putting the recyclers 7 months behind the RVMs and bag drop systems is very disrespectful to all the recycling centers that have given so much to this program. It should be equal opportunity for those funds, and to put them 7 months behind is truly unfair. We won't have a good RVM system or bag drop system without a strong recycling center system. So we need to have equal opportunity.
There is absolutely equal opportunity, Mr. Dunleavy, that isn't specific to the dealers, that is across the program.
Correct.
And we're not putting anybody behind anybody else. So we would really appreciate if you have these comments specific to the grant program, and the reason we have the workshops is to bring these specific comments as part of those workshops. So I would ask that you would bring those comments to the workshops on the grant criteria.
Correct. I plan on doing that, but at the monthly meeting with you in attendance, I want to do that. But it is a 7-month delay because it should be one workshop for those funds for both recycling centers, processors, bag drops, and RVMs. So they all start from the start line at the same point.
We are looking at different grant programs for different types of technology for different parts of the system. And again, I think this is a much more appropriate conversation to have as part of the workshops in September and January. And please bring those comments. And I think we can have a very engaged conversation at that time about that.
Good. Thank you. Last thing, as far as processing payments, keep asking if you could accelerate when they go into effect. The October processing payment should increase from the current level of 13 cents up to 18 cents October 1st. Hopefully that is going to happen, seeing if that could be increased up to September 1st. And then right now it's looking like the January increases should be going up to 20 cents based on the averages. If there's anything you do to increase the start time of those payments from what's typically been done on the quarterly basis, move that up either to September or even the January ones, move those up to November. That would be helpful to all the recycling centers and other certified programs.
Appreciate the request, and we'll take that under advisement.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other comments from anyone in the meeting room today? Okay, well, we will move to our public comment portal comments. Oh, did you have a comment?
Oh, no.
Okay, you're getting up.
On the run.
So Chief Deputy Director Mindy McIntyre is here to share public comments submitted online.
Yeah, so I'll take the first one because I'm going to answer the first one. It's from Mr. Leonard Lang, who asserts that the Division of Recycling since 2013 has failed to meet statutory requirements for processing certification applications. I would contend that that is not accurate, first and foremost. But his question goes to what steps will be taken to prevent whatever problem he's asserting from happening with the registration of dealers and co-ops. And I would encourage Mr. Lang to participate in our workshops on the dealer cooperatives if he has questions specifically about how we will craft and implement the regulations under SB 1013. But I do want to assert that I don't believe that his first statement is accurate. So his questions should be directed specifically to the regulations that we're developing under SB 1013.
We have a few other comments. Next comment is from Jerry Burnside, who is a resident from Chino. And that's the long one. So I'm a resident of the city of Chino in San Bernardino County. I have several neighbors who are horse owners and keep our horses in the backyard. This question goes to the fact that the horse manure is not allowed to be put in the bins anymore because it's mixed with food waste, and waste management is no longer taking that. So the question is how to integrate horse manure as part of the green waste program.
I'm happy to take that question. Thank you so much for the question. I appreciate you participating remotely. I understand the frustration, but keeping in mind that what goes into the green bins and the organic bins has to meet certain standards, public health standards being one of which, to be composted or whatever form of recycling that waste management is utilizing in San Bernardino County. So I would highly encourage you to engage with either the county government or city government, depending on whether or not the county or the city of Chino is in contract with waste management on the appropriate disposal of horse manure. Again, keeping in mind that what we're really trying to do is create systems in whatever bin that we're putting waste in that acknowledges where that waste is going and protects both the public health of those members of our industry that are managing that waste and handling that waste, and then optimizing the recyclability of that. And so my guess is that in San Bernardino County, they are using a compost facility that does not have the capacity to manage what would be a biological waste. But I would really encourage engagement with local government on how do we recycle horse manure in a way that is really effective, and is there a way to manage it to do that? So San Bernardino County being a very rural county, I'm sure there are many people who are managing different forms of livestock. Engaging with them on is there a way that we can recycle that would be really great.
The next comment is from Evan Edgar from the California Compost Coalition. Mr. Edgar writes, there needs to be a market development plan for the 4 million tons per year of wood waste, given the SB 1383 mandate, coupled with market loss of about 1 million tons over the last year. Mr. Edgar provides lots of statistics, which we appreciate and will analyze, and also asks that we update our plan because the last 75% plan was done in-house in 2014 and by CalRecycle and has not been updated.
As usual, Mr. Edgar has pointed to something that I think is really important. And we agree here at the department that we want to make sure that we have systems to optimally use every resource that we have here in the state of California. I think that the woody biomass question is part of our organics evaluation, but also part of our larger zero waste plan that we're going to be building will be a really important component, and really hoping that as part of that process that Mr. Edgar and all of our stakeholders who are engaged on woody biomass will participate in that process, and helping us build a system that can utilize that material in the most effective way, but also in a very, very healthy way, and utilize it here in the state of California.
Another question from Mr. Lang, asking, has any decision been made about the prepayment controls regarding until regulations are adopted?
Is Amy available today? I don't know. Sorry, Mr. Lang, I apologize. I'm not entirely sure what prepayment controls that you are specifically asking about. If you send an email directly to Deputy Director Amy Cameron, I think that that would be the most useful way to get your question answered. And apologize that I don't have one here for the meeting today.
Last comment is from Joe from Olin's Recycling, asking for a list of dealer locations in the same manner we can access grocery locations in the convenience zone and recycling center status reports online. Thank you.
Appreciate the comment. We are always looking for opportunities to improve our web access, so we will take that into consideration. I think this will be considerably easier as we roll out the dealer cooperatives, as dealers are going to be engaging together on building convenient systems for served and unserved convenience zones with recycling centers, with recyclers at large. I think this will become more convenient, and it is a piece of what we're trying to roll out with all of the advancements that we're making in the beverage container recycling program. I think that's it, Maria.
That's it for our public comments. Thanks to everyone who participated in today's meeting. You can find the videos from today's meeting and the August monthly public meeting recording with captions posted on CalRecycle's YouTube channel in the next few days. As we work to make our communication as accessible, inclusive, and relevant as possible to Californians, we welcome your feedback through CalRecycle's public comment portal. Have a great rest of your morning and week, and we will see you next month. Thank you.